What is up, you beautiful gamers, and welcome back to Role-Playing James, my little old corner in the internet where we let's talk about video games. Dragons Dogma leaks and rumors have been out there for quite a while. Now we know that Hideaki Itsuno is actually working on its next big project after finishing and wrapping up with DMC 5, which happened like quite a while ago. And you see, Dragons Dogma and me, we have a history together. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And I think that it's such an underrated RPG, such a beautiful jewel that more people should be showing, they'll love to, but is it actually that underrated? Today, we're gonna take a look at the official statements that we have from Capcom, from Itsuno, from the game director, and we're gonna talk about like how the game has been doing, the official game, Dragons Dogma for 360 and PS3, did back in its day, along with its re-releases throughout many platforms. And you know what? This next project that Hideaki Itsuno is working on might very well be Dragons Dogma 2. We know for, remember, everything that we'll be talking about in this video, you'll have links for the sources, my sources, in the video description in case you want to keep them and read for yourself. But other than that, we know, like from these articles, that Dragons Dogma is Hideaki Itsuno's favorite game. It's the game that he's most proud of his career during his stay in Capcom. You know, when you go to your parents and you ask them, hey, who's your favorite son? And they say like, you know what, I don't have a favorite son, I love you all the same. You know they're lying. You know they're lying, right? You can be pretty sure that they are lying because they secretly, deep below the deceivedness of their souls, they have a favorite son anyway. So this is the favorite son of Hideaki Itsuno, Dragons Dogma, I mean. Now first and foremost, let's take away the obvious, like the official statements, that we have some obvious thing that might actually point for the game actually being in development. We know, according to these interviews and articles and statements, that he has been working for little bit less than a year in his next project, and this game could actually be Dragons Dogma. There is also a leak, but it's an anonymous leak. You know, anyone can make some of those. I can make one of those in my spare time. Never have made it in my life, but I mean, it just contains so vague information. Like you can see in the screen right now, this is the information that we got from this leak of Dragons Dogma 2 being the next project. Not gonna dwell too much in it because there's not credibility in this, even more because it's from an anonymous leak, and the information and the writing of it, like it has some serious problems on the writing, as well as it's vague and ambiguous and just like touching the surface of anything, like being safely saying like, hey, if this is actually fake, well, nobody will care. But we don't need this kind of leak to actually point out to Dragons Dogma 2 being in development. Before a game can be made, the game director has to go to the up top commands and say, hey, let me do something, I want to make this game. One amazing thing is that Capcom has actually already given the green lights for Dragons Dogma to be developed. It has also already been in the table discussion, like he placed it up in front of them and say, hey dude, I wanna make that, can I? And Capcom was like, yeah, you can. Like you can see in here, and quote, so when the discussion came up for Devil May Cry 5, I went to Kenzo and I said, look, I want to make either Devil May Cry 5 or Dragons Dogma 2 next, end of quote. And then quote, he said, okay, do whatever you want, do whichever one you want. So I thought, alright, you know what, let's do DMC 5. So we did that, end of quote. What's the reason behind, like, he had to choose between the sons and the favorite got tossed away? Like he says in the next part of the interview, and I quote, I've always got maybe around 4 different titles in mind, maybe about 4 different ideas that I love to make, but there's a difference between the titles that I love to make and the titles that I think I should make next. But here we are here, and I'm already gearing up for my next project. We can't say what it is, but we are looking forward to getting to work on it." End of quote. And here we are, waiting for him to actually deliver us that juicy, marvelous jewel that Dragons Dogma 2 may be. Now, like I mentioned before, the game has already been in the talks. It has already had the green light. He was like up there and say, "Hey dude, give me some greenies, give me some rupees, give me some coins, some moneda, compadre, to make the game." And Capcom was like, "You know, do whatever you like, dude. It's your call." We got DMC5, which I'm also a fan from the Devil May Cry franchise, but I was like a little bit more itching for Dragons Dogma 2. The thing is that the last entry of the Devil May Cry, like the official 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5 series, the last one happened in 2008. After that we got the prequel for the new Dante, Young Dante, which got some mixed up reviews. I enjoyed the game, but I had quite some issues with it. But people was actually clamoring for more Devil May Cry, like it had been almost 10 years before that, before the Devil May Cry 4. And people was asking for the original Dante to be back in our game consoles, and I get it, you know. I was like looking forward for it as well when we got the announcement and for the original look kind of Dante. I was like, oh boy, I like it. And now if you take a look at these statements, we have like 25% of chance of this project being developed right now, being Dragons Dogma 2. He has like 4 titles in mind, which are the games that he should make, and well, yeah, it pretty much narrows down for 25%. Now, he did touch on the matter of the games that he thinks that he should make. Now, I think this is a personal statement, but I've seen many people saying that it's kind of a cult game, Dragons Dogma. I mean, it's a niche game that, well, you know, it doesn't actually have the sales numbers for a platinum game from Capcom, but oh boy, oh little sweet baby Jesus, these numbers that you are seeing in the screen are just music to my eyes. This is an article from Gematsu that shows the sales of all of the releases for units sold in the game releases, official launch with the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and then the post releases with Dark Recent DLC, and the PC, Xbox One, PS4 and Nintendo Switch remaster, which came like throughout in periods of time. The game has sold over 4 million units throughout all of their releases, and you can check it out in this article that you're having right here. Now, if you take a look at the game releases and re-releases for the Resident Evil games, most of them sit around 8 million units sold throughout all of their various re-releases. And Dragons Dogma has the half of it, but you have to take in consideration that maybe the horror genre of video games, it's actually more, it would have more eyes set up in it than a RPG game that's a new IP, and it did had quite some troubles, you know. It wasn't perfect, but it was just a lovely game. Now, on top of that, we have the anime series Netflix, which did got some mixed reception as well. And this is not a practice that I support too much, you know, when they launch video games and then they throw context of the main story plotline at you from time to time with different like media kind of stuff. For example, if you take a look at Assassin's Creed, I'm just a fan of Assassin's Creed, dude, I have to say it. But when I heard about the story not taking like the linearity that it's supposed to have throughout the main plot of the game, and they actually develop it in a separate novels, it's like, dude, I'm not gonna read that. I mean, I like to read literature, that's my profession after all, but it's just a media that you shouldn't make the gamers have to watch all of that stuff. Like, for example, in Halo we have the series movies. For Final Fantasy 15 we got the movie, which was a great movie, but I think that the game main narrative shouldn't be stretched way too much in this kind of practice. But I have to say, like, the game Dragons Dogma Netflix series do offer quite some nice context. Spoiler alert. The main character for Dragon's Dogma has to go. It has some linear construction and build up throughout the story. The main half of the game, it's just you being tossed around doing chores and stuff, and then you meet Grigori, and then you get to know the highly beautiful philosophy that's behind the game. Where you know that you, spoiler alert, I warned you again, where you know you're going to sit in the chair of God. There's people that has run away from the dragon, like the Duke himself, and he got power. But up until the next recent comebacks now from the Netflix series, we have some context that we know that the Arisen that fights the dragon with vengeance in them, spoiler alert, gets to become dragon. And you know, this kind of context that the Netflix series have out there, they are just be preparing the ground for the new release of the upcoming title. And you know, it doesn't matter, just to wrap up the video, it doesn't matter if this leak that we have a while ago, it's not legit. Because from the talks and the statements and the numbers of sales and Dragon's Dogma being a platinum franchise for Capcom, the game is just going to happen anyway. It has had the green light for development. Hideaki Itsuno then decided to do the MC5, but now he's working on his next project, and I think it might actually not be too far away, because this interview and article is like, it has little less than a year ago, so the development of this project that he is working on, we might actually not be too far away from it being announced. And more than that, like I said, it has 25% chances of being Dragon's Dogma. We know that Dragon's Dogma is one of the platinum titles for Capcom. It has like this green light for development, so even if this project is not Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to happen sometime in the future, because this is the favorite game, the project that Hideaki Itsuno is most proud of throughout his history and career with Capcom. So he already has the green light. The game is going to happen. This project that he's working on right now, it might actually be Dragon's Dogma 2, but if it's not, I can assure you, I can be pretty sure the game is going to happen at some point. Now we have the next generation of consoles just right outside of our doorstep, so that's something to take in consideration. I think that we are going to get a Dragon's Dogma 2 in this next generation of consoles. With that being said, you beautiful gamers, that's all for today's video. If you like the content, do consider subscribing, sticking around with merry old James to have these chatters and conversations about video games. And like I always remind you guys, don't you ever forget that each and every single one of you little people watching merry old James are beautiful people. I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember to stay beautiful, stay safe in the perilous world that we live in right now. I'll see you guys in the next one.